Hey everyone, I'm Richard, I run Digital Foundry, and I'm joined by my colleague, Mr. John Linneman.
Hey Rich, how's it going this morning?
Absolutely fantastic.
Wonderful.
Okay, so we've got a very special presentation here. Video footage that is showing Uncharted 4 on the PlayStation 4 running at 1080p at full fat 60 frames per second. Now, some might say that it's the PlayStation 4 Pro demo everyone was dying to see before the reveal last week. And yet obviously we didn't really get this, but based on how epic this footage is, you know, some might say that's a real shame. I mean, I think it looks incredible, but to be absolutely clear here, this is a cleverly constructed illusion. It's not real-time gameplay. I think we can look at this as something like, I don't know, the path not taken, if you like, a what-if scenario if Naughty Dog had managed to run the original game at double the frame rate. Okay, so John, there's quite an interesting story as to how this all came about. So can you clue us in on the technique we used to get this footage and also how it came to our attention?
Yeah, sure. So the thing actually came to my attention by a fellow NeoGAF user named Kanuna, who sent me a message saying, hey, I discovered this little trick with Uncharted where if you essentially capture the game with the slow motion cheat or bonus feature enabled and then double the frame rate in some sort of editing program like Adobe Premiere, you actually end up with footage that looks like 60 frames per second because the game in slow motion runs at approximately 50% speed. And so doubling it, you get the presentation that you're seeing here.
Yeah, and it looks absolutely fantastic. It's quite uncanny. I'm reminded of that Uncharted 3 PS3 footage.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it leaked quite a few years ago now, where Naughty Dog had actually, we assume, done a kind of offline render of gameplay at 60 FPS, and it looked pretty superb. Now, I actually got that as a gameplay item, as it were, in the Nathan Drake collection. But
That's
to be
true.
clear here, we don't have any kind of equivalent yet on PlayStation hardware. This is literally just slowed down footage using that slow-mo mode, which you get from completing the game, right?
Yeah, well, you basically earn points for playing through the game, and when you complete the game, you get a whole bunch, and you can unlock various things like the different render modes, and cheats like infinite ammo, and the mirror world, and of course, slow motion.
Okay, yeah, so we were playing this, you captured this at slow motion, then we took it into Premiere and we ran it at 200% speed.
Exactly.
Okay, so that explains how we're able to get this presentation, but it is fascinating to see just how the game plays out, isn't it? I mean, I think for me, the thing that really makes it look so special, quite apart from obviously double the frame rate, is I think it's aspects like the physics. I mean, the game has incredible physics at 30 Hz, but when you're actually seeing it with that extra fidelity, it just looks incredible.
Oh yeah, it's really top of the game here. And in fact, one of the things I really noticed when actually playing the game in slow motion, it really actually helps you appreciate the physics even more than I expected. Because if you remember those old Killzone 2 reveal videos where they did like sort of the bullet ballet kind of thing with the slow motion effects everywhere, it feels like that in a game. And
Right.
just seeing everything come apart, it's really cool. And then bumping it up to the full 60 frames per second, it just looks quite unreal, I think.
Yeah, it is an absolutely remarkable presentation, and we were kind of having a debate about how to present this because it does look incredible, and it's directly in the wake of the PlayStation 4 Pro reveal. And this, you know, as I said earlier, this was kind of like the demo that the purists want. They want to have this incredible experience at super smooth fluidity, but we didn't really get that at the reveal. So in a way, you know, it's almost like an ultimate troll in some respects. But when you see the quality of the footage, you know, we couldn't keep it to ourselves.
And yeah, the thing about it is it almost feels like we missed this twice, because if you remember, when the game was early in development, Naughty Dog basically suggested that they were still targeting 60 frames per second for the campaign and the multiplayer, but obviously that was not possible in the end. And then of course now we have the PlayStation 4 Pro reveal, and once again everybody's thinking, well, maybe this is the opportunity to hit 60 frames per second at 1080p. But I think what needs to be made clear here is that the situation with Uncharted 4, it's very likely running into CPU issues here, and even with the extra power available in the PlayStation 4 Pro, I'm really not confident that they could pull this off at 1080p 60. So going for the checkerboard 4K technique is actually going to be cheaper, I think, overall in terms of what they can render versus a full 1080p 60 like this. And it's not like, The Last of Us Remastered,